Sun Tracker version 3, which is the version that I have with me. I'm going to make a new version 4 very soon. But anyways, this is set for 39 degrees latitude where I live, and it actually happens to just lay on the ground with that length of stick just right nice at 39 degrees. As you can see, I have a pin right here for 39 degrees and level, yep. And this is directly south with high noon at the top. Now, where is the sun? There is the sun over there. The sun is casting a shadow, as you see, cutting the ball in half. If I put my phone right, where is it? There you go. You can see, and then so I'm blocking the sun, and you can see that the shadow is cutting the ball in half. Pretty darn close. I'm off by a few degrees maybe. And the time at which it is cutting in half, I can bring my finger along the hoop until the finger is cutting it in half. The finger is cutting it in half at 8 a.m. What time is it? It's 8 a.m. What does this also tell you? This also tells you where is the sun going to be at any given time. I can take my finger at 8 and line that up with the hoop and the ball, and the sun is directly behind there. Now what about at 7 a.m.? Here's 8 a.m., here's 7 a.m. At 7 a.m., the sun, the hoop, is just about level with the horizon. Ergo, sunrise happened right over there, and now 8 o'clock, it's there. Sunrise happened at a direction from here to here, drawn a straight, flat line. Make sure get my sun, my noon at noon. Come in horizontally, maybe a little after 7. But I can tell you the direction from here to here. If this is south, I can simply rotate my finger to point to 7 and tell you that it's a little bit southeast, right? This being perfectly east, and that being a little bit north of east, southeast anyways. So probably about 130 degrees on the compass, where north is 0, east is 90, and south is 180, is where the sun rose. Probably just after 7 o'clock. Likewise, I can tell you that the sun will set. I simply go from the ball, go horizontal. And horizontal means coming over here to the 1700 mark, i.e. 5 p.m. and probably just a little bit before that. So I expect the sun to set this direction to the southwest. That's directly south, that's directly west. This is a little bit north of southwest, so I'm going to say add 50 degrees to the 180 at 230 degrees will be the sunset. High noon will be at noon, obviously, at an angle high in the sky from here to the center of the ball. I'm eyeballing it. I'm going to say level to horizon, about 35 degrees high in the sky. I'm going to say that's about 45. My hand is up here to the hoop, to the center of the ball. About 35 degrees. High in the sky, directly south, right there is where high noon will be. The sun will reach its highest point in the sky. We call that solar noon. And down. Now, solar noon may or may not be exactly 12 o'clock on the clock. Depending on where you are in your time zone, it can actually shift you know, it could be 11 a.m., it could be 1 p.m., but usually it's within plus or minus a half hour, depending on your time zone. But like when I was in Iceland, I noticed it was in Reykjavik, it was actually, high noon was actually at 1:15 p.m. And so the times get rotated. So that's just a local adjustment depending on where you are in what time zone and where in the time zone you are. But for the Maryland, DC, Baltimore area, where I am right now, the solar noon, now that we don't have daylight savings time, and the local time are actually almost dead on. I think there's only like 2 minutes difference right now. So there you have it. The Sun Tracker version 3, and I've used it here in Maryland. I've used it in Paris, in Brussels, almost the same latitudes, like 49 and 52. But I've also used it in Reykjavik. And in Reykjavik, at 64 degrees north, move this so this is vertical here, only had, and like I said, the offset was by an hour and a half, but only had, when I go level, you're at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Offset it by just a little bit. It was basically 10 to 4 was sunrise, and it only rose less than 10 degrees above the horizon, about 10 degrees above the horizon, level to the reference point here, when that is level, and then whatever is above the center of the ball is the sun breaking the horizon. Whatever is below is below. So if you can get, so you can go from noon, 1, 2, 3 hours, and you can see that's when that's equal with the ball from here to the ball, and everything else, all those other hours, the sun is below the horizon. Now, what about Antarctica? Well, first, Chile. There's Chile. Now I gotta rotate this whole thing up. They're in Punta. My Spanish is not very good, but at this point, I'll rotate that so it's high noon. And that's actually, that lies pretty well vertical right there. I'm gonna keep this pointed south. That's pointing south. Level with this would be right about here. 3 a.m. 3 p.m. Wait, hold on. This is noon, 11. This is getting. Oh, aha! I forgot. The sun goes backwards. The sun is still going in the southern hemisphere. The sun still goes around this way, but now it's reversed from what we usually think about going that way, because it's going around to the north. The sun still moves at the same hours, going around the hoop, even though I've inverted it for the southern, for south of the equator. So sunrise is over here, sunset is over here, sunrise is over here. Sunrise is about 4 a.m. level with the hoop. Right? And has into the, again, this is south, to the southeast. Then the sun rises high in the sky, because it is their summer, at an angle, at this angle. I'm going to say if that's perfectly north, that's probably a good 55 degrees high in the sky. I'm just eyeballing it, maybe even 60 degrees high in the sky in Punta. And then the sun continues around and sets when you are level with the ball here at about 7 p.m., 1900 hours. And actually probably, let me get down here, probably after 8 p.m. level with that. Make sure this is aligned. And again, I don't know if the local time zone has any offset, so it could be plus or minus an hour. But the point is, there is about 7 hours when the sun is set, and the other hours when it is up, from about 3:30 to maybe 3:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. But the 3:30 could be offset by, let's say it was offset by an hour, it could be 4:30. Or if it's offset by an hour and a half, it could be 5 to, let's see, to 10 p.m. 5 a.m. rise, 10 p.m. set, something like that. But the point is the number of hours, so the exact time clock depends on the local time adjustment, depending on where you are in the time zone, your longitude. And then, of course, the coup de grace, Antarctica at 80 degrees south. Get that pin vertical. Then the question is, when does the sun set? The sun will not set at 80 degrees south because all around, no matter the time of day, the hoop does not drop below the center of the ball. Therefore, you will have at the low end about 13 degrees above the horizon, at the high end about 33 degrees above the horizon. And by the way, I didn't mention about the ball location here. This is set for what we would call our summer solstice, the December solstice. You can see there's a date there, December 21st. There are other dates for other times of the year. Here's his marking with the balls in the center. That represents equinox. And no matter how you tilt this, half of the hoop is always above the ball. Equal night. Everywhere on Earth will get equal day and equal night. So here we have dates for the what we call the summer solstice, the June solstice. The ball goes lower and lower throughout the year. Like that would be in springtime. That would be the summer solstice position. And here in the northern hemisphere, we will get a lot of hours of sunlight because many hours are above the hoop. But here, as it is right now, in December, the ball is just about to winter solstice. So for us in the north, most of the hoop is below the ball. For the southern hemisphere people, lucky people down in Chile and Antarctica, most of the hoop is above the ball. In Chile and Antarctica, it's completely above the ball. And that's why we should have 24-hour sun, never dipping below the horizon in Antarctica. That's why it does what it does in the United States, Europe, and Iceland. Those ones I verified personally. These ones I will be checking in with my friends who are currently in Chile and soon to be in Antarctica. And look forward to, I'm going to do more detailed measurements to track all of this out once I build a version 4, which will be a little less clumsy with this. It'll only use 3 rods instead of 4. It'll give me a little bit more working room and have a longer post so I can affix it on both ends actually to the ground and keep from having to hold it in my hands.